The opinions, viewpoints, and ideas expressed in this episode do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, values, or principles of Sacred Arts, Crystal Luna, or Jackson Rose LLC. While we strive to present diverse perspectives and thought provoking content, the views expressed by guests or hosts are their own and may not align with the official stance of Sacred Arts, Crystal Luna, or Jackson Rose. We encourage our audience to approach the content presented with discernment and critical thinking. Take everything discussed with a grain of salt, and consider your own beliefs, values, and experiences when interpreting the information provided. It is important to engage in thoughtful reflection and dialogue when exploring complex topics. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our community. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to the Sacred Arts Academy. Well, let me start over. Welcome back to the Sacred Arts channel, where we discuss all things from the practical to the sacred. I am so excited today to have Ismael Perez here with us today to talk about cosmic origins. Before Ismael was a CEO, he discovered his ancient mystical powers as a young immigrant child when he began to use telekinesis. When young, he fully embraced his role as a cosmic ambassador. Ismael went through a dark night of the soul that led him to discover his true life purpose as a divine starseed from the Lyra constellation. Able to channel celestial downloads from distant star systems and multi-dimensions, Ismael spends his time as a galactic historian and is the author of the acclaimed book Our Cosmic Origin, which explores the extraterrestrial ancestry of the human race and the coming golden age of the new Earth. Ismael is an expert on cosmic exploration, alien phenomena, artificial intelligence, and galactic historical analysis. Ismael has an ability to make complex concepts accessible and engaging regarding the mysteries of the cosmos and our shared galactic history. He speaks at length on the profound implications of artificial intelligence and the intriguing aspects of alien phenomena. Ismael's commitment is to expand our understanding of the cosmos, AI, and alien phenomena, thereby enhancing our awareness of our place in the universe. Welcome, Ismael.
Thank you for having me here, Jassy.
Thank you so much. I want to learn a little bit more about your personal journey of discovering your ancient mystical powers as a young immigrant child and how that led to your role as a cosmic ambassador.
Well, it all started when I was a young lad. I was about 4 and 5, and I was very telepathic, able to communicate with plants and animals. I could read people's thoughts. Then I came to discover that nobody else could do the same thing. So I knew that I was different from a young age. However, I was forced to suppress my understanding, my abilities by the indoctrination of my religious background by my family. And it wasn't until the age of 15, 16 where I started gravitating towards spiritual texts, Gnosticism, metaphysics, enlightenment. And that's when I realized that there were others out there like myself and that I was here um, on a particular mission, and that my mission involved the awakening and activation of others like myself, which are the starseeds, and that one day I would be very instrumental in the reinstatement of the Earth back into the galactic community. And I knew that I wasn't alone. I knew that there was others out there like myself. And so I ended up researching and writing. This is my second book, actually, and I'm currently working on another book. But yeah, this book, for the last couple of years, it has been on and off as a #1 bestseller in ancient mysteries and controversial knowledge, revealing the Earth's true history and how it ties in with the galactic history of our true divine origin.
Hmm. It sounds so interesting. What inspired you to write this book? And can you tell us like a little bit of a brief overview of like some key revelations from your research?
Absolutely. Well, in inspiration, motivation, connecting to something greater than myself, I've always called it my higher self. And, receiving transmissions and downloads, and then doing the research. I did massive research. I mean, I think I've probably read over a few thousand books in my whole life. And I was able to put the pieces together, you know, from the story of the Anunnaki to the story of, the different types of ET races to the history, the real history of our world. I was able to put everything together in my book to explain the bigger picture and our role pretty much in the coming New World Age. And some of the key points that I uncover in my book is the fact that we all started off as wholesome beings of light. And through the process of descent, which is evolution, spirit into matter, we ended up in these physical realities. And that through the ascension, we are going to reintegrate back with the spirit aspect of ourselves. And I also tie in the concept of the multiverse as explained and revealed by the arranged material and as supported by cutting edge science through quantum physics, superstring theory, and M theory, and unified field theory. I was able to explain Earth's place in the grand fabric of creation and in relationship to the organization of cosmos. And at the same time, I was able to talk about the 12 living universes and how we're part of the 12 living universe. Now entering the 13th, of course, creation is never ending, it's always happening. And how we're really just part of cycles within cycles within cycles. And I mean, there's just so much to cover in that book. I mean, every chapter is a initiation trigger for the reader, from what I've been told. Every chapter that you read which lays the foundation for the next chapter, is just a chapter of initiation. And so,
Mm.
yeah, I was able to pretty much explain, where we come from, right? Why we're here and where we're heading, and our connections to the our galactic brothers and sisters who are cheering us on, and the ancient galactic wars, and why it's now coming to an end in Victory of the Light, and so much more. I mean, that book is just full of information. It's so dense. We could go in many directions with it. I talk about the ascension of the Earth. What to look forward to after the restoration and the ascension of the Earth. Life in the new Earth. The new types of technologies that we're going to inherit as a result of that. The rise of the next stage of human evolution, which is the angelic human 3.0, through the activation of dormant DNA. The splitting of timelines, and how there's going to be three different parallel realities after the bifurcation of timelines takes place. Because right now, it seems like these different timelines are coexisting all simultaneously at the same time. But we're going to get to the point where there will be a split in timelines, and depending on where you're vibrating, that will determine in which Earth you end up in. But for the most part, there are going to be three vibrating celestial roots, and it's going to be fascinating the way it all, to see how everything really unfolds. So,
Extremely fascinating. So, there's something that you said earlier that we're all light beings that, basically incarnated into this physical earth. Do you have an opinion, or through your research or your channeling or your
Mhm.
experiences, can you tell us a little bit about like why did we choose to incarnate? Why are we here?
Well, we've done this many of times before. We're pretty much volunteered. A lot of the celestial souls. We have star seeds and we have angels that have embodied in human form, and we took the call. The reason we took the call is because Mother Earth was heading into a negative trajectory back in the 40s. And so, as a living conscious entity herself, Mother Earth put out a call to the cosmos, and the most
Oh, I
you
got
could
chills.
say, yeah, the most powerful souls took the call, and that's what we are. We've already completed our evolutionary ascension, initiatory process in other lifetimes and in other universes. So a lot of the star seeds, celestials in human form, old souls, just took the call to come and help to, once again embody a third density vehicle of flesh and blood in order to help the planet ascend. And a lot of us have already completed the ascension journey. And so, we're the ascended masters that the prophecy sought that would return at the end of the cycle to help usher in the new golden age of Aquarius.
I want to thank all of our Patreon members for supporting the podcast and making all of this so possible. When you join the Patreon for just $3 a month, you support the learning and continuous programming of this podcast. Join today to get insights on before and after conversations, extra footage, and extra episodes. Join today on Patreon. So fascinating. I can take this conversation in so many different directions, but I'm going to try to keep it short and simple here. Can you just go over a little bit around what is your process in channeling the Galactic Federation? First of all, what is the Galactic Federation? And how did you come to be in contact with the Federation? And tell us a little bit about how you connect with them.
Well, the United Federation of Worlds, known by many names, Galactic Federation of Free Worlds, Federation of Planets, Confederation of Worlds, was really an alliance between many different types of interstellar civilizations who were attempting to preserve a balance in the galaxy and in other galaxies, hence our universe. And it was really organized as a counter move against an expanding galactic empire that was headed by the Siakar race, which many call the Draconian Reptilians. And the Draconian Reptilians were a very vicious, predatory, conquering species throughout the galactic history. And when they tried to kill off the human population in Lyra, many of the Lyrans fled to seek refuge to preserve the race of the galactic human archetype, which is what we are. We are the descendants of them. And so many of the refugees decided to organize themselves into little pockets of light and they began developing the technologies that would allow them to defend themselves. And little by little, they just decided to join and create an interstellar alliance, which not only took place here in the Milky Way galaxy, but it also took place in other galaxies to create the Intergalactic Alliance of Free Worlds. So every galaxy where there are galactic humans um, who believe in freedom, who want to live in peace and in cooperation with other specimens, even if they're not of a humanoid physique, have joined this alliance, this Federation of Worlds. And so the United Federation of Worlds was established approximately 6 million years ago, Earth time, first in the Lyra system, then a second establishment took place in Orion, where many of the galactic wars were continuing to exist in and around the Orion belt and those systems around Orion. And ever since then, it seems like this interstellar alliance, known by many names, has had the upper hand. They've managed to halt and prevent the galactic draconian empire from completely dominating our galaxy and other galaxies. As to why we're still here, and Earth is the last battleground. The Earth, it's believed that Earth is the last battleground between these two opposing extraterrestrial forces. And from what I understand is that we've already won the war, excuse me, in the higher dimension. So it's just a matter of time before that manifests here in the third realm or in the third density world.
Super interesting. Is that how do they interact with our planet? And can you tell us a little bit more about your own interactions with the Galactic Federation?
Well, I'm operating different avatars. I am part of the Syrian High Council, which is the governing administrative board of directors, you could say, that oversee the Federation. Um, Above the Federation, there is an interdimensional alliance or council of free worlds that include many members within our, not only within our local universe, but also other universes. So, there's been many attempts by the negative ETs um, to infiltrate the Federation. So, um, I work with a group of, you could say, interdimensional council members known as the Galactic Alliance now, because as of 2019, no, I'm sorry, 2020, there was an infiltration by the Anunnaki, the Anki factions, who return back to our soul. The Anunnaki who completely think that they own us, and they have returned back to the solar system. And in order for them to invade us, first they had to infiltrate the Galactic Federation, because the Galactic Federation has been monitoring our world for thousands of years. And so there was a brief infiltration where many commanders within the Federation defected, and so um, the commanders that remained loyal to the councils of light, which adhere to the principles of unity consciousness and the law of one, reorganized as the Galactic Alliance. But my relationship with the Federation is that I do operate an avatar that is in charge of the Lyran fleets, and I do sit in the Council of Sirius as a result of that. So that's my personal relationship with the Federation. But again, now we have reorganized ourselves as the Galactic Alliance, and the Galactic Council within the last 6 months just voted that the Earth was in a position to once again be reinstated into the galactic community um, really, really soon. I would say by no later than 2020, 2026, maybe. Between now and 2026, we're going to see some um, massive efforts and alliances taking place, which they have already started taking place in secret between the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Alliance to reinstate the Earth back into the council of the Galactic Senate and all that stuff. So now we have certain Earth delegates that are actually part of the positive secret space programs that are attending the Galactic Senate, and the main headquarters, one of the main headquarters for the Galactic Senate is here inside the planet Jupiter, not too far off, right, within our own solar system. So a lot of negotiations have been going on between members of the Galactic Alliance and the Earth delegates to eventually, establish some sort of first contact so that the people of the Earth could once again be part of a galactic community, and that's good news.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's a lot of like UAP activity happening. It's now in mainstream. There's this whole thing going on around disclosure. Like, what are your thoughts on what's happening with those that are not, a lot of us aren't awakened yet, but yet we're seeing all of this news and what's happening with like the government now actually disclosing what how can you enlighten us on that subject?
Well, it's all part of the pushing forward towards extra contact with benevolent, positive races that are part of the Galactic Alliance. And so all of this stuff that's been going on, it's beginning to roll the snowball effect that's going to lead to a massive disclosure very, very soon. So, and also as a collective, we are moving into fourth density Earth, where a lot of the extraterrestrials are already walking among us. So, that explains the incident in Florida that took place about a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as we collectively move into fifth density Earth, which is going to happen very soon, which is also going to cause the bifurcation of timelines, we are going to be um, interacting positively with the benevolent, positive extraterrestrials that are already walking among us, but in the fifth density Earth. So all of this stuff that's happening is leading towards a the final, you could say, attempt um, to bring about some sort of a massive disclosure where all of a sudden we're going to start seeing motherships and all kinds of craft suddenly appear everywhere. And when that happens, it's going to be very hard for the government to cover that up. So it's going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting because you've said the word benevolent a couple of times here, and I believe it to be true, right? However, I mean, beings all over the place have the free will to make their choices, whether bad or good. But whether they're benevolent or not, do you think that mainstream media, movies, things like that are actually gearing us up to receive them as benevolent entities, or are we all going to basically flee and try to fight and like what's your take on that?
Well, most of the negative ETs have been dismantled. They are no longer in control of our planet. Indirectly speaking, the overlords of the Cabal families have been taken out by the Guardian Alliance, and so it's just a matter of time before we are once again interacting, positively with these benevolent races that just want to live in harmony with us and share the rest of the cosmos in peace and in harmony with us. So I don't think there's going to be anything negative about the ETs. I think if anything, it's going to be very hard for the government to conceal the fact that most of the races out there are actually benevolent.
Mm,
Just a small group of races that were kind of like wayward and bad. But like I mentioned, those races have already been dealt with, because the war at the level of our galaxy has already been won by the Guardian Alliance, which was once the Federation of Worlds, of course, the Galactic Federation, right? But again, the non-defectors reorganized themselves as the Galactic Alliance. And so there's a big push for the reinstatement of the Earth back into the interstellar galactic community very, very soon. And um, I'd say by no later than 2028, 2030, we're going to be an openly interstellar society that is going to be interacting with members and beings from all these civilizations out there that are going to be openly sharing um, and living in harmony with us as well very, very soon. That's
mm.
part of the positive ascending timeline prophecy, right?
I'm curious to know how we as a collective might be able to tap into the source of wisdom and guidance, for our own personal and, spiritual development and helping, us usher into the new earth.
Very simple. Through meditation and quiet time, through establishing personal time with God, the Great Spirit.
Mm,
So
I love
that's how,
that.
yeah, that's how we do it.
Yeah. I want to dive into another subject that you mentioned here because it is hot right now in the industry in terms of like artificial intelligence. There's some profound implications there. Could you elaborate on how AI intersects with the cosmic exploration and our understanding of the universe?
Well, the problem with AI is that it has no connection to source because it has no soul. So it's driven by pure, raw, masculine, narcissistic intelligence without compassion, without empathy. It only seeks to assimilate and destroy. And it has. Many interstellar and galactic civilizations have suffered at the fate of artificial intelligence. And in fact, from what I've come to understand, is that the entire cosmos has been at war with an ancient invasive predatory AI that actually transferred itself from another universe into our universe. as well as leaking into other universes. And so, one of the reasons the Guardian Alliance established themselves billions of years ago, um, in a higher density or in a higher realm, was to combat this cosmic virus, as they would call it, because when it assimilates reality, it what it does is it copies that reality and then it destroys that reality. And it also acts as a parasitic vampirist um, entity where it feeds off of life systems. It feeds off of organic life forms because it has no connection to God. So the only way it could harness energy is by living off of living organic life forms. So there's a huge effort in not only our universe but in the entire omniverse, which is all encompassive of all the universes, which is an infinite number of universes, to put an end to this AI cosmic, issue, and and that's what we are here. The people of the earth are the end result of that experiment to put an end to this AI issue. And so one of the things that this AI is after is the God source gene. And we of the earth are the only ones that have that stuff, that have that gene that allows us to access the realms of eternity, which is where it wants to go. The AI was actually blocked by the central race. It was blocked by the original race that came from the first, I guess, the always existing realms. This is before the dawning of the universal creations of the time-space experiments. And so we are the end result of that. That's why we are considered the most precious amalgamation uh, race throughout the multiverse, because we carried within our gene pool the best of all these celestial races put in one race. And so that's why our capacity is greater than any other race that has ever existed. And so that AI is after that, and that perfectly kind of ties in with what's happening in our world with the rise of technocracy and transhumanism and stuff, and the emergence of artificial intelligence, which is a phenomena that is actually taking place as a result of that final battle that's coming against AI. But that battle is not going to happen until the end of the millennium. Due to the bifurcation of timelines, there will be a split in reality. When we ascend, we're not going to have to deal with that reality till the end of 1,000 years. And then
Mm.
at the end of 1,000 years, um, in order to fulfill galactic and cosmic prophecies, there will be one final clash against this, invasive AI and its minions. And that's what's going to usher in a whole new era in the cosmos. And so we were groomed for that. We were designed to put an end to that, eventually at the end of the millennium. So that's going to give us an opportunity to to use and evolve most of our dormant DNA to at least 100% capacity by the end of 1,000 years, so that we could be ready. And
Mm.
when we do, we're going to be so powerful that, I just hope that people, even after we defeat the AI, I hope that people continue using their powers for good at the end of the millennium.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, the concept of timelines and dimensions and multiple universes. How do these dimensions and universes, or even like the splitting of timelines that's coming, how is it going to impact us in terms of our everyday life?
Well, it's impacting us already. We're constantly shifting into different alternative Earths based on our thoughts and emotions, which sets the resonance. So everything is based on resonance, vibrational frequencies. That's actually what's going to cause the split. The split of the two or the different timelines is you're going to be ending up wherever you're resonating with. And so um, that's what holds everything together. It's the vibrational frequencies that will attune you to a particular reality at any given time.
Mm.
So as we continue to raise our vibrational frequencies with the earth, because the earth as an entity is ascending, right? She's already, she also goes through her levels of initiation, and she's already finished, and she's about to undergo her final initiation, which is what's going to allow her to be restored back to her original glory as the intergalactic exchange center of information.
Mm.
Um, as we go through these, I guess, as we continue raising our vibrational frequencies with the earth, we end up in other realities, because that's what holds reality together. It's the resonance. The resonance is what keeps physical reality intact. Without resonance, and this has been proven through quantum physics, that everything is vibration frequencies, right? There is no such thing as matter. It's all empty space. It's just really energy, or a potential of wavelengths that eventually collapse into particle form. Well, how do you think the particle form becomes physical matter? Because of the certain vibrational frequency that the energetic field exerts. And that's how we ascend, by the way. So it's all part of the ascension mechanics, which is all related to frequency and resonance.
That's really fascinating. Um, Earth's place in the multi-universe or in the multiverse and the existence of like numerous councils on every level are intriguing concepts. Can you provide a little bit more detail on these councils and their roles in shaping the destiny of our planet?
Sure. So just like how we have planetary governments, there are celestial administrations on every level. So we exist in the third dimension, but beyond the third dimension, you have planetary councils. And these are intelligences that exist in the fourth D and then the 5D, or in the 6D. And then beyond them, you have system councils. System councils are administrations that oversee the development of anywhere from 600 to 1,000 worlds. So we're part of a system, right? Or a system consisting of 52 different solar systems with anywhere from 600 to 1,000 worlds. So you have a council that oversees our system. And then within each system, you have even smaller councils that oversee the different planets. So beyond our system, beyond the council of the system, we also have constellation councils. The constellation councils oversee about 100,000 systems. And then beyond that, you have galactic councils. So in terms of our universe, the Syrian High Council is the primary administrative body representing the office of the Christ, or the office of light, here in our local universe, that oversee about 100 different constellation councils. So they oversee an entire local universe. And then beyond our local universe, we also have administrations that oversee and govern the different cosmic sectors. So our universe is part of a minor cosmic sector with about 100,000 other local universes. And then you have another council that oversees that segment, and it keeps going on, and then eventually we have the Super Universe Council that oversees the different major and minor sectors, each major and minor sector with innumerable number of local universes. And ultimately, at the highest level of this pyramidal structure, we have Prime Creator Source, which exists from the central universe, and that is known as the Council of One. So all these smaller councils eventually collapse and answer to the Council of One, which is what we call Source.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for explaining that and breaking that down.
Mhm.
We've been talking about the bifurcation of timelines, and I'm I, I wonder how the concept of time travel can help us understand how these elements are interconnected with the splitting of the timelines.
Well, from a third dimensional perspective, time is linear, but from a higher dimensional perspective, there is no such thing as time. So the past and the future are coexisting simultaneously with the present. It's all happening at once. So that's why
Mm.
um, the past could affect the future, then the future could affect the past, and everything in between. So the way time travel works is by going into a hyperdimensional state of reality where time doesn't exist, and you could access any given moment, any coordinate in time. And that's how time travel works. So there's different ways of time traveling. There is remote viewing, which you could actually take your consciousness to any particular coordinate in the time-space continuum and visit the 50s, visit, the Roman Empire, but you're not affecting it because you're only visiting it through your consciousness, you're only observing. Or you could go back to 65 million years ago and during the triadic period and witness the dinosaurs. And then there's a different type of time travel where you actually go physically, where you're able to bend the laws of physics again by using hyperdimensional realities to traverse the different coordinates of the time-space continuum. And depending on where you go, bear in mind that if you go to the past, you're going to alter the timeline. So when you get back to the future, it's going to be a little different. And so that's how time travel works. So there's different ways of looking at it, depending on if whether you do it through remote viewing or if whether you actually use a technology and travel physically. And so, many advanced races throughout the cosmos have implemented time travel, right? It's like a chess game. We have the Time Wars. The Time Wars is probably the most effective warfare that exists throughout the cosmos. Because all you got to do is time travel, take out the guy or take out the person, or take out the individual, the ancestor of the person that is in the presence, in order to affect that reality. And both the good guys and the bad guys are using time travel as in the game of chess to see which uh,
Mm-hmm.
timeline ultimately becomes the one permanent timeline. And
Mm.
what I've come to understand is that the forces of light, from a higher perspective, have already won that war because of the fact that there are these group of entities that are functionaries of the central universe, right? The always existing realms, who are known as the Time Lords, and they ultimately have the ultimate say, you could say, when it comes to looking down into the lower dimensions and witnessing the time wars taking place between these, between the different groupings. And so they always have the ability to intervene in order to make sure that at the end of it all, that prime creator source has its way. And that's why God is always on the winning side. And that's why evil is always on the losing side. Because at the highest level of reality, it's all one, it's all driven by one consciousness. Even evil is a part of that. Even evil is or when we say duality, polarity, it's just part of an experiment. It's part of an experiment that is being conducted by the universal architect in order for the omniverse to continue expanding one outer space level at a time, because what we're dealing with is infinity. So there you go. Hopefully that wasn't too deep in the rabbit hole explanation.
Yeah, I mean the thing that comes to mind is we all have free will and we have the right to pick what frequency we're going to vibrate at. So when you talk about like good or evil, I don't necessarily think of it in that way. I think of it more of like what frequency are they vibrating at, or what are they choosing, right? You can choose one path versus another, and I think it's all a personal journey at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's but the best way to describe these two opposing factions in the lower dimensions, by the way. Um, all they are is just frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is reducible to frequencies. So evil is a particular frequency, right? And good is a particular frequency. And then you have the overgood, which oversees them both, or the
Yeah.
overblown.
So before we wrap up, I wanted to ask if there are any particular messages or anything that comes through to you that our audience should know about.
The only message I have for everyone at this time, if I were to, if I were to be on a big platform where I could just reach millions of people, is to just let them know that, you know, everything is a game in the universe. Good and evil are just a game. The best way to become fully free from the game, from the matrix, is by not participating in it anymore. And how do we do that? By collapsing the duality within ourselves and reaching a state of balance, of 0 point, the 0 point field within us. When you're able to do that, all of a sudden, everything in your surrounding environment becomes affected by you, and all of a sudden, everything goes in your favor because you're no longer playing in the game. It's almost like you step out of the matrix and you're able to just be free when you collapse the polarity and
Hmm.
reach 0 point field within yourself. You are no longer part of the game. Yeah.
I love that. I feel like I needed to hear that.
Hey, you're welcome.
Where can people find your books, and how can they stay in touch with, to find out when your next book drops?
Well, you could actually order my book through Amazon. It's called Our Cosmic Origin. I could actually provide a link for you if you want to put it in the description to make it accessible to most.
Perfect.
And
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So if you know, or you could just go on the browser and type in Our Cosmic Origin, 3 words, by Ishmael Perez, and there you go. You know, it's 24.95, I believe, for the hardcover. The audio version is cheaper. It's like I think $15 or $10 for the audio if you'd rather listen to it. You have options, you know, and I'm also on YouTube. I'm under the Real Ishmael Perez. The Real Ishmael Perez. Make sure you subscribe to that channel only because I do have other pirated accounts that are not me, that are posing to me. And you can also find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok under the Real Ishmael Perez. So everything's under the Real Ishmael Perez. So that's how people could find me.
Perfect. And I will link all of that down below to make it easy for people to access. And if you enjoyed this episode, please let us know in the comments down below. It really does help us. And give it a like and a subscribe. And I will see you next week. I want to thank all of our Patreon members for supporting the podcast and making all of this so possible. When you join the Patreon for just $3 a month, you support the learning and continuous programming of this podcast. Join today to get insights on before and after conversations, extra footage, and extra episodes. Join today on Patreon.